So I just got a call, and apparently I made it through to the next stage.
When I landed my first real job, I was still a student and it was a copywriting gig. But since then, I have gone to work in different fields and with different people. But never have I applied to any of the jobs I've worked at. So for the next 30 days, I'm going to be applying to as many jobs as I can to see if I can land a great role. This means that in this video, you're going to discover how to find job listings for your industry, tips on how to prepare to possibly land your dream job, and of course, you're going to see me receive many else. For the sake of this challenge, there are conditions that each role will have to meet before I can apply for them. The first one is that it has to be a role that I don't think I'm qualified for or confident enough to get. Two, it must be a remote role. I do not like leaving my house most of the time, plus most of the really juicy offers I see are by companies that are situated in other states apart from the one I live in or out of the country. The third criteria is that it has to be a company I can actually work at. In as much as I'm not actively job hunting, I do not want to apply to a role, get the job and then turn it down when there have been other people who would have appreciated the offer. So I just saw two openings that were totally unexpected. Now, the first one is from a creator that I admire and would absolutely love to work with, but it might be hybrid. And because we're not in the same location, I think I'm gonna get it. And the next one is a social media associate for guess who? PA Vest. Am I supposed to call names on companies? At this point, you're probably wondering, how does she even find these vacancies every day? Well, I'll tell you. One great way to find offers is by joining communities with people in the same or similar field as yours. Now, I have been in the digital marketing and social media space for a couple of years now, so I belong to 3 Telegram communities with people who are also into social media or marketing or tech. These communities have a channel where job listings are posted almost every day, and sometimes we even get higher priority when applying to some of these offers because the founders or guardians of this community are well known in the social media or branding or tech space. Why do I think I am the right person for this job? Because I need it badly, and I'm going to do anything to keep it. Okay, I'm actually not going to write that. Secondly, I am also subscribed to a number of newsletters, whether directly or because I got a freebie from them. And so every now and then I get emails with some other vacancies, which are also relevant to my field. You don't have to ask. I'm going to leave a link to some of these open groups or newsletters in the description box, but I have another job to apply to now. And this one is for a marketing associate. I think that is where my, should I say, defect or my flaw here is going to be, because I've never done a marketing associate job, and the criteria says experience 2 to 3 years. So I'm still going to put in my resume. Okay, if this is what I submitted the last entry, I just may not be getting that job because the first line here says filmmaker storyteller, and what I applied for was a social media associate, I think. The next thing I want to do is clean up my LinkedIn profile. This part of the application process brings us to the second way to find job listings, and that is LinkedIn. Every now and then, companies are looking for people to fill different positions, and most of these companies put up their offers on LinkedIn. Now, there are 2 ways to easily find these offers. One is to make a list of the keywords or companies that you desire to work at and go look them up. And 2 is to set up LinkedIn alerts with keywords that are relevant to your role. So whenever there is a vacancy or a job offer for that role, you would get a mail from LinkedIn notifying you about it. So you don't have to be the one doing the search every day. So 1 down, 29 to go. And this one says send your portfolio or link to your work. And well, I do have a website, so I think my website is using inside my portfolio, so I don't really have to like compile anything. So that is it for my LinkedIn profile. I haven't really applied to any jobs today because I'm not really a fan of most of the ones that I've seen. I think I may have to like step up my search now to like actively search for these roles as against waiting, for these roles to be sent before I apply. So yeah. Thus far, nobody has called me back or emailed me or whatever about any of the other 2 or 3 that I applied to. And I mean, if I was me, with that resume, I don't gonna call me back. So yeah. Now that I'm done mourning the loss of my files, let's talk about how to get you prepared to land your dream job. Now, the first thing to do is to get prepared. I know that's vague, so we're going to break it down. Take a time to review your resume and make sure it highlights your skills, your experience, and if you think you do not have experience, you probably do, but you don't realize it yet. Have you volunteered for any role? Have you been paid to do anything? Have you done any personal project? Those are part of a working experience. Customize your resume to show roles and work experience that are relevant to the role you're applying for. Also, you want to write a convincing cover letter if the listing demands one, which is why I think that if I'm going to get a shot at the PiggyVest role that I sent the wrong resume to, it's most likely going to be my cover letter doing the magic, because my cover letter was actually quite good. Yup, this was for the same job that I had sent the wrong resume to. It was a time-based test, and I tried to answer all of the questions before I ran out of time, which I still failed to. But while we wait for the results, let's get back to our prep class. Secondly, you want to work on your soft skills, or human skills like I like to call them. All of these are important skills that can boost your ratings in a sea of other applicants. If you like, go and put skills that you don't have. When they're interviewing you and they're throwing aptitude questions at you, you will tell them who wrote your resume for you.
So I just got a call from the recruiter at the same company that reached out to me first and sent me a test to take, and apparently I made it through to the next day. I don't want to say I didn't expect it because it sounds like I was underrating myself, but the truth is that I underrate myself, period. It has always been like low-key my dream to work at the company or to have to do a gig with them or just to have something to do with them. The interview is in like 2 days. Yep, it's in 2 days. So I don't really know how to prepare.
Now that brings us to the next point in preparing to land your dream job. Be clear on the job description. Now, reading the job description is one thing, but understanding the expertise, the skills, and everything that role demands from you is another, which is why you should take your time to actually go through the description, read through the fine lines, see what the employer expects to get from you, and this would ultimately help you know what traits or skills to emphasize in your cover letter or your resume.
I think she was the hiring manager, the recruiter. She was like, well, but I'm not convinced that you're good for the social media role. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
4. Read up about the company. Now, I did this too, but somehow I missed out on what their mission statement was.
Yeah, and they asked me one question that I didn't answer, and I did not answer it with all confidence. She was like, what's the mission of the company? And like, well, I just googled it after the interview. It's not actually long. It's just like a one-liner. Ugh.
Don't make my mistake. Read the interesting parts, read the boring parts, and take notes. Your memory will fail you, so take notes. The 5th point, which is also one thing that I did not do, is prepare questions to ask the interviewer. You can have your questions even before you go into the interview. Now, asking the interviewer questions just goes on to show that you're really interested in this role and in the company. And some questions you could ask which are quite general, apply to any field, and are still important are, 1, what are some of the challenges that the company is facing right now, so that you can see how your presence or you feeling that role is going to play a role in solving the problem. Of course, these questions are going to come after you have answered their own questions. You're not going to come to the interview and be the one interviewing them. No.
It's been a couple of weeks and I still haven't heard back from PiggyVest, but I have moved on already. However, I want to believe they read me enough to actually send that rejection mail. So while we wait, let me walk you through some of the lessons I learned from doing this.
I underrate myself a lot, because why did I think that I couldn't land some of those roles? And to be honest, I can't even say that learning to handle rejection is a lesson I learned, because most of my life I've actually done things expecting rejection in the first place. So I've always known how to deal with rejection. I just move on. It doesn't faze me. That may look like a good thing, but it isn't entirely a good quality to have, because everything that you do, you're approaching it with the mindset of, I probably will not get this. And so even when you actually do deserve these things, you may not get it just because your mindset and your spirits are not ready to receive it.
Preach.
2, I may panic, but I usually end up killing conversations or interviews. And for somebody who underrates herself a lot, this is quite ironic, I think.
So it took more than 30 days to apply to all of these job offers, and because I lost some of the files, I'm not entirely sure of how many applications I ended up sending out, but I'd put the numbers roughly at 10. Now I'm taking the lessons learned from this challenge to continue my freelance aka jobless life. I know that I probably would have landed a role if I kept at it for longer than 30 days, because if there's anything I found out in this challenge, it's that every application brings you one step closer to your dream job. So keep sending out those emails and cover letters. I look forward to celebrating with you soon. I've not really, like wanted anything in a while. At least like wanted anything that I had to work for. So I sort of started to get attached to this one. Like I was even googling like the salary expectations, should I say? And well. Guess what? They also asked me in the interview. How much are you expecting for this role? I want to say nobody has ever asked me that in an interview, but then again, like I said, I've never applied to any job before now. So this is really a new terrain. It's a strange whatever.